Welcome back to the Paladins Minor League. I'm Tom F. Battinger, formerly joined by Kresnik, now joined by the Evolution. It's Dave Dolson Olsen.
A net increase, in my opinion. Just kidding. I love Kresnik.
Well, in mass alone, for sure.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate it. Gas me up. I'll take it all day. Fun set one, though. I mean, those are your top two teams in this region. Expect it to go 5 games, to be honest. And I love this resurgence that I'm starting to see out of all business. I mean, they've had a rough split one, or they did have a rough split one, and really starting to come into their own. But, of course, looking at set 2, it's the kind of up and down of Penta where you have to look.
You talk about kind of coming into their own, and that's exactly Penta's mission here, right? Yeah. You come through and you go, hey, we are the best on the block. You win midseason invitational, and of course, then you get pruned and culled because that's your job in the minor leagues.
Right.
So now you've got to rebuild. You won, and now you've got to do it again with less pieces. So obviously they are down a couple of ranks here on the standings, but I think watching them kind of resurge here in the second half, finding what pieces they can along the way, that's been a lot of fun to watch.
No, and that's a great way to put it, because they absolutely have. I mean, there were a couple weeks there in the middle where we were kind of unsure. We're like, I mean, are Penta going to be okay? Because you're right. I mean, they go through MSI, they win MSI as a minor league team, that they lose some of their key players, or arguably the key players, to the PPL. So it's been a coming together, a finding yourself sort of story here over the course of the second split for Penta. Some up and down performances, but this is one that they'll really look to win. I mean, arguably when Sour Team and All Business are playing like the best team in this region of the minor league, you need to take these wins over your third seed team and really start to make some progress.
Let's see where the players are planning on avoiding today as our map bans come out. We're going to say goodbye to the desert and goodbye to Timber Mill. Timber Mill is a map that not a lot of people like playing there. Fish Market,
Penta.
And how bizarre. No bizarre.
I'm sad. People hate Fish Market.
You
people
love
hate
it.
Timber Mill. It's because I love like the weird, or the maps that cater to kind of weird, quirky play styles in a way. I mean, Timber Mill is certainly that. Maybe I'm just like sniper minded, and like, because Fish Market, sometimes we see some snipers. We did in the console league yesterday, but it's those weird quirky maps that kind of have the interesting champion picks, those sorts of things that I really love to see. I love all the other maps, of course, but those just a little extra. I know some people really hate Fish Market though. It's such a weird map to play on. So as a spectator, it's fun. As a player, maybe not so much.
Big fan of Fish Market, one of our older maps as well, and that's legacy for me, being here from the jump. Let's take a look at where we are going to play, and the first one's going to be Stone Keep. What's your take on this one?
Pretty tried and true. I mean, if we're talking about kind of old guard, new guard, quirkiness, non-quirkiness, Stone Keep kind of finds itself right in the middle. The flex kind of flanky, blastery champions have been a rotating flavor of the month, if you will. So, I mean, we've seen some Willow, some Bomb King, some Mave, a little bit of everything, honestly. And Stone Keep is a map where a lot can work, depending on how you want to play. Bomb King is kind of what comes to my mind, not necessarily as like the go-to pick, but if you're trying to throw an interesting curveball, maybe you pick the Bomb King, you take that high keep side, really run down the high ground, play as a team, maybe a Grover at your back. So I look for maybe that aspect of the game to change.
Yeah, if you're looking to lock down that interior aspect of the map, Bomb King's a great choice. Drogos can do a lot of work here, and you can kind of hover above. That's why I like the Cassie selection here from Penta. Cassie being picked first and foremost by Penta alongside Ash. You've got these aggressive characters that are going to be pushing out. Expect to see Ash inside and outside. She can kind of play both. Cassie will be relegated to the outside, but if the Drogos does come through from One Trick Pony, Cassie can kind of take care of that from a distance. So a lot of, with just two picks here, Cassie and Ash, Penta are kind of dictating the way they want to play the game, and also the way the opponent has to utilize their technique.
Absolutely, spot on. I mean, it clips so much of what One Trick Pony could play. I mean, they're leaving those last two picks open for a flex. I was going to think Penta might do the same. Willow and Ying here, though, pretty strong too. I mean, the zone control of that Willow so important here on Stone Keep. I don't mind the Cassie first pick. Sometimes you might see it, 3, 4 But if One Trick Pony, like you said, I mean, maybe they're looking towards Eevee, maybe they're looking towards Drogos, a Cassie that's consistently hitting those shots, which is hard, don't get me wrong, but it deters a little bit of what One Trick Pony maybe you're looking for, but looking like Bomb King and Leon.
I love this choice coming out from One Trick Pony. I think the Con of the Fury, I was right away excited about the Con of the Fury after the Cassie and Ash. I think they're well-to-do characters that can form independent of what the opponent's kind of bringing. And then the Bomb King and the Leon, we discussed Bomb King at the beginning, and the Leon is just another character that can kind of keep herself at a distance. So you gain that for yourself and take it away from Penta. And Penta will wind up rounding off their draft with a Barrack.
And it's two kind of weird hybrid aggressive comps. I mean, if Cassie is able to blow up the front line of OTP, I think Penta will be in a good spot. Leon, though, look for that one-on-one between her and Willow.
It's going to be a lot kind of leaning on the shoulders of these blasters. We'll see who's able to take the game. Game number 1, the first and foremost, it's One Trick Pony versus Penta. It's fun, and it's Kresnik.
Correct. It is fun at Kresnik. We are both here getting ready to cast. It's a wonderful game. One Trick Pony versus Penta, just as it was Thomas saying on Stone Keep. Being the first map, I'm interested too. I like what Dave said as well about how they're both like these weird sort of hybrid aggressors on these compositions.
I would say that I think One Trick Pony's comp is definitely more sided towards taking that keep, though. Right. I think they're going to be more for the high ground. And I think that's solely because of the Bomb King. BK to me, on this map, you're not playing outside.
Right.
Unless you really are confident in your Kobe's across the map, you're going to want to be inside playing in that kind of close range area. So I'd expect to see OTP playing a lot more centric in there. And I think Penta's comp is good for playing outside if they choose to. Barrack's good for poking from the low ground to the high. Cassie, Willow, great at locking down those choke points once One Trick Pony decide it's time to go.
The Grumpy Bomb to go up, just sit there already. Willow, Ash, just really conceding aggression here, but she's literally stuck against that wall. And what else can you say about that? The wall literally went up. The wall kept her there, and they got the kill. So I mean,
that's not a good feeling. I mean, I've definitely been there before. It is not something you want to have happen to you. Good pressure by OTP early, and I think Penta just kind of had to give that up. Again, I don't think Keep is their area to fight. I think they have a much better composition for outside, and that's what they're going to do now. I mean, Coriel outside controlling the stairs just to poke them, but he shouldn't be committing too far in. And now Penta, they're kind of surrounding them too. They have this mid zone now. The backline is very low, the Leon. Low by the banana area, but you can see the damage from Penta spread through all the doors is keeping them completely locked in. Dead zone on an Anara means the Doodle has to back off, so Penta keep their point time even longer.
Rise accuracy over them, just trying to steadily stack the percentage right there, 78% to 48, really in OTP's case. And now it's starting to climb. They are pretty much just taking turns, stepping on the point. Here you go, then I go. In this case, they are controlling it in the best way it is they can. Once again, they do already have Keep. We see Haste already in the back, really just using this Fate Flight, throwing out these shots here, trying to make it a lot harder for Hanzadoodle. And I mean, man, he is hitting him, and he does get the kill. Barrack, aka Ovum, really just sitting on point. Now he's chilling. Now they're not really going to be able to even make it back.
People sometimes just forget about how influential the infinite ammo for Fate Flight is.
Right.
Not going to save Haste here, because the Fate Flight already ended Defit finding him with the King Bomb. Goes down 2, though, so 2 for Penta. I think Doodle wasn't thinking about the infinite ammo.
Right.
When you're getting shot by Willow, you think you're going to have that moment of respite at some point. Not against a Fate Flight. Not with that infinite ammo on board. So Doodle didn't have that in his mind. Ended up getting focused down, which gave it away to Penta. There was no picks for a pretty long time, I felt. I mean, or just that early pick on Coriel, but then nothing else was really found after that until Penta finally found that ultimate when they were trading all damage. I mean, they have 2 strong healers, so that makes sense. Furia Ying. Definitely able to sustain their team through these fights, maintain that in these very, very pokey engagements.
Yeah, I agree with this. And speaking of poke, this is literally what Haste is doing right now. He's literally just firing down that one hallway, of course, which is what you would expect to see. You see that they do really want to be able to control that. They shoot it, throw out Grumpy Bomb, Slopodopoulos, clean double kill in this case. And I mean, what else is there to say?
Whenever we release Play Like a Pro Willow, that's actually all it's going to be.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be doing the commentary, but it's going to be that clip loop the entire time. Penta, though, the spam up top gave them a lot of room. They managed to completely zone them into the objective, into the spawn, and get that cap. So I like their play. I think they have the better Stone Keep comp in general. I think this meta kind of lends itself a little bit more to that outside play. It's playing in that church area. Just because I feel like once you get locked in those chokes, blasters and flankers are so strong right now. Once you're locked in those doors, it's just too hard to get out. Especially against teams that have strong flex players.
Yeah, I Definitely agree with that. We already see that the ultimates are online for OTP. They have the Inflame coming up soon. Already the morale boost is there. The Chronos is there. Enlightenment's up. Seismic Crash is up. Like I said, the Inflame will be up soon enough. Illusory Rift is coming up, but they have 4 ultimates online for Penta. So I feel like if they were going to try and contest for keep, now would be the time to sort of do it. If they want to. If they want to.
I mean, you're not wrong, but the ults are even. You know, either way, they're going to be running.
Yeah,
they're going to be just crashing into each other. And now Coriol only half contesting again at the top of the stairs. Slopadopoulos, though, finding a line into the back onto Nixus, forces him back. So a lot of backline pressure kind of out of the game right now. Defit is free because of where Slop is playing, but rotates back down. Now they're just going to have that point trade again. Inflame, though, they might want to go for this, but Penta's going to power aggress with the Dome Shield.
Yeah, they are indeed, but, I mean, they get knocked back thanks to Poppy Bomb. I like the attempt from Defit to try and really capitalize on what was happening, but he tried to knock the Ashe away as soon as she landed. He did, but that resulted in a team wipe for Penta. Now they're already getting the zone started. You already see Coriol right here by, I see some people call that Vine, or I believe like Fire or something like that, right? In which case they actually are going to try and hold that. We're looking at that right now, making sure they have their angles covered. No one's really on high ground, but they have a zone.
I don't think Penta could have countered that any better, that Inflame.
Yeah.
I mean, you get an Inflame, you're like, can't wait to do all this damage, and then you're looking at an Invincible Ashe and a Dome Shield, and you're like, well, there's literally nothing I can do. Actually, good flank by Doodle, I think, getting Seismic Crash onto 2 that tried to push. They do trade onto Slop, don't convert on the Barrack, but this should give them a little bit of space, especially with Coriol going down on the other side. Yeah,
Nixus getting a double kill is going to be a lot for OTP in this case to be able to try and counteract the push it was that Penta had. The momentum definitely being halted right here. I mean, disengage bolt was hit. Doesn't land the shots, though, and because of that Slopadopoulos, he stepped up a little bit too far. Ends up getting punished for that. Slide his way back out to make sure he gets a little bit of damage onto the Barrack for really just being there. Was stunned for a little bit thanks to Grumpy Bomb, but nothing concrete. The shoulder bash comes in for Mash, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop Nixus.
No, not right now. Well, that will be.
I mean, that will be.
The combo from the blast shot
go.
and the primary fire
There's
will be enough to do it. And they're getting a lot of pressure. They force out the Furia. They will lose the Willow on the side, but I think they have better position. They're completely surrounding One Trick Pony. Yeah,
they literally have traded 1 for 1, and now that would actually be 1 for 2 almost in this case. With the Nara currently respawning, and now the other frontliner potentially going down. He is. Now you have no frontliners. Now you have to give up so much space, so much respect to the enemy team in this case. It throws out the Grumpy Bomb to try and deny some access there. Ashe charges in, but there's not really anything they could do. She charged in to try and capitalize on that. Slopadopoulos couldn't get around that corner to shoot. So, I mean, they had to concede it.
I mean, Coriol got out, so that's a bigger part of it. He didn't end up going down. 5 ultimates for Penta. They could try converting. They start with the Illusory Rift, so healing to go in. Shoulder bash up top to make room also. Faithlight coming in too. They're getting good spam into the back line. Once they get closer, they can use Assert Dominance, maybe make something happen, but Enlightenment might not let it happen. Great dodge by Coriol to stay on the point and keep things controlled.
I agree. The Assert Dominance to come through to make sure he arcs his way right over that Enlightenment. Doesn't want to get hit. It was already looking really low. King Bomb to come out to try and get things stunned. This is it. It goes on to Coriol. It stuns the people in the back line, but I don't know if they're going to be able to really capitalize on that. I think this might really be it for OTP in this case. They got team wiped. Penta just had the advantage. That dodge from Coriol was enough, and it netted them the win.
All that damage that Slop was doing was just
true. That's 100%.
Cassie was playing into not the dream tank composition to play Cassie into, but it's close. I mean, Inara Khan, very good at eating big game shots. Not that that's like, when you're picking them, you're not like, dude, we're going to be so good at getting destroyed by big game.
I'll tell you, when I die.
You'll feel it.
Yeah.
No, but Inara Khan really kind of got shredded by big game. Slopadopoulos, I think, had a really big presence. And Hayes, too, applying a lot of damage, a lot of pressure, especially during those mid-fights, which I think were kind of the key to what brought Penta this win.
Right, exactly. I agree with this. You already see it here. 65,000 damage for Slop. Most in the game. Ovum following up, and Hayes. Really, they're doing really, really good. Ovum, obviously, 50,000. Hayes, 54,000, of course. Nixus falling a little bit behind, and OTP just had a rough game that go around. I mean, the slash lines are pretty much all negative. Meanwhile, Penta, they're sitting pretty. They're looking pretty good. All positive slash lines, except for Coriol, but he has the 9 assists to help that, and of course, we've seen the good assert dominances and such.
That's just the Ashe life.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah, I can understand
you
that.
go negative on Ashe and your team wins that dominantly, you're like, yeah, all me.
Yeah.
Yep, that was purely me. And we mentioned it before. Slop, I think, especially in those last fights, Slop was doing a lot more on the push, I think, than he was on the mid fights. But him converting all those shots that he did, especially in this final kind of very chaotic fight, able to stay alive, be CC immune with this scout. There's just when you're hitting all the shots on Cassie, you understand why she is such an influential character.
Right.
Even with the removal of Cauterize from her blast shot forever ago, she's going to stay a force in the meta, I think, until something else changes.
Yeah, it has to be something huge, too. Because, I mean, like, you already see the damage she's outputting here. The triple kill, Mr. Slopadopoulos, Hajanudo, really just trying to live the best that he can for his team, but it's unfortunately not enough for them. I mean, once again, Slop did really good, but, I mean, I can say that about the rest of the team, the rest of Penta.
Yeah.